let's begin. Thank you everyone for joining the IPM monthly webinar. And to begin with, I'll just take 2 minutes to present IPM for those of you who are new to the Institute of Project Management. So IPM offer training programs in project management and related topics such as program management, risk management, and basically a lot of different topics related to project management. IPM has over 30 years of experience. During this time, trained over 40,000 professionals in project management and related fields, and certified 6,000 project managers in project management, as well as trained over 500 organizations in Europe, but worldwide too. So this is for IPM. Welcome again. I am Nadège Minois, project management communication specialist, and I'm very happy to host this webinar. And today we are welcoming Olivia Mitchell-Russell. So let me tell you a little bit about Olivia. So Olivia is a visionary leader with over 18 years of experience driving operational excellence and sustainable growth for organizations. She's the principal owner and founder of XKey Executive Management, and she leverages basically her expertise in strategic project management owned across diverse industries to create tailored solutions that will optimize operations, enhance efficiencies, and maximize profitability in organization. So Olivia's unique blend of skills stemming from her background in education and project management allows her to seamlessly navigate complex challenges and craft sophisticated experiences. She's a PMO tools and integration expert, specializing in providing tailored project management solutions for organizations of all sizes. Her expertise extends to lean portfolio management and organizational brand development, where she leverages her expertise in luxury event planning and design through XKey Events Management. So, welcome, Olivia, and today you're going to talk to us about digital transformation. And now the stage is yours, Olivia.
Thank you so very much for that introduction. Give me just a second while I share my screen. So thank you everyone for joining today, and I welcome you from all of the exciting places that you're listening in from. If you could just take a moment. I know earlier we were adding in the locations where you're located, and also if you could indicate what industry you work in. Today, I hope to keep this very interactive, and as much as I can, I'd like to address, your thoughts and questions as we move along. As I said, I'm Olivia Mitchell-Russell with 18 years of project experience in project management. I won't go through the entire spiel again, but at Exquis, we don't just manage projects. We specialize in turning complex business challenges into clear, actionable strategies that drive results. Our goal is to empower organizations to work smarter, use resources constructively, and we do this by way of strategic project management. So one of the things that we'll discuss today. For the past 10 years, however, I've worked in multiple industries, leading projects and programs of many levels, managing diverse project teams, and also driving change. What I've come to realize, and this is what we're here for today, is that digital transformations are a true passion for me. 10 years ago, they weren't necessarily named digital transformation, but we'll talk about that journey as well. Today, I'm going to say this a few times. In a digital transformation, it's not just about implementing technology, but helping organizations, the people in the organization, to adapt, to evolve, and innovate through the use of technology. So I'm excited to share this passion that I have with you, along with strategies that have worked for me in turning vision into execution by way of project management. I am sure that you will agree, technology is transforming the way that we work. As project professionals, we're at the forefront of change in our respective industries. So the tagline today, empowering project managers for the digital age, really captures what we're going to explore. Okay. Digital transformation is a term that we hear often, but it can mean so many different things depending on which industry you're working in, depending on what company you're working for, sometimes by the individual person. For many, the idea of transforming with technology can be overwhelming. I am personally on a mission, and I hope you join me today to bring clarity around how we simplify and approach transformation projects. We'll start by defining transformation in its simplest form. We'll dive deeper into how it applies to our work as project professionals. At a core, transformation is a process, one that becomes far more manageable when we break it down into clear strategic phases. The phases we'll discuss are align, engage, transform. So with alignment, that is the foundation for success. I would consider that the foundation for success. Without a clear shared vision about what the transformation will accomplish, organizations can struggle with miscommunication, meaningful ways to measure success, inefficiencies, lack of direction. Are you all familiar with any of these? Perhaps. Aligning the vision means bringing the leadership, your project team, and also the stakeholders together under one common purpose. That's ensuring that the goals and strategies are well defined and widely understood throughout the entire organization. When you align on the vision, the decisions become more strategic. The priorities for the change are clear, and then the teams feel empowered to work under a shared goal with confidence. So that's align. Let's talk about that. So let's start today by aligning on what is a digital transformation. I would think of it as a strategic shift, a way to improve your processes, products, or services by intelligently using technology. The exciting part for many people is adopting new technology. And I think that's what a lot of people go towards is the new technology portion of it. But it's not only about the technology. This true transformation happens at the intersection of the technology, the organizational processes, and then the people. The people part is very important. It's the people that use it, that are using the technology to create the meaningful change. And here's the charge. As project managers, we're the conductors, the leaders, molding and innovating, guiding those teams and shaping the timelines to drive that success. Okay, before we jump into it fully, let's take a quick look at how project management has evolved over the years with digital transformations. Maybe you remember manual processes of the past. Many of you, just depending on what industry, and I know we put some in the chat, maybe you're still working in some of these conditions. I mentioned earlier that I've spent much of my career in education technology, construction management, and transportation. So I've seen firsthand how digital transformation has reshaped those industries. For instance, in construction, we now utilize tools that assist with cost estimation. We have AI-driven resource utilization that can help manage resources for factors that fluctuate, weather patterns even. Um, Not dating myself, but do you all remember the 36 by 48 CAD construction printouts? They're now becoming obsolete, making way for sleek 3D drawings on handheld devices. Um, Architects are using BIM technology. We'll talk about that a little bit further along in the presentation, but it's a game changer for designing and planning. Across industries, we have something as simple as AI note takers that change the way we document project meetings now. Um, just to share, I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there were 6 AI virtual note takers that joined the call, and just 2 individuals that were in the call. This is completely transforming the way we join meetings and allocate our time. Overall, we're using tools now that connect teams and data in real time, automating what were once manual processes, and that's empowering us as professionals to drive efficiency. Okay, so when we align on a common purpose for the transformation, we create a clear roadmap with a defined destination. This process builds consensus by addressing all of our stakeholder needs and considering the strategy's impact on the stakeholders, ultimately guiding us towards selecting the appropriate tool. And I'm putting it in this order for a reason, because a lot of times organizations want to select the tool first and then figure out how to use it. We're saying that we're going to align first on the goal and then move to the new tool. Okay, and that brings us to, we have so many tools at our fingertips these days. It can be tempting to just go, grab one. That becomes tool overload. In any people-centered process, we will face resistance to change. That's inevitable. If we're not aligned on what we're going to achieve, people push back, and that is what we should expect. Resistance is a natural part of any change, especially when it involves the introduction of a new tool, technology, and process. I would say more often than not, new systems are chosen with a top-down decision-making process without clear communication or even engagement from the people who will actually use them. That approach makes it hard for individuals to connect with the journey or see the value in a new technology. It causes worries about if they're able to adapt to the technology, how it's going to impact their work, and really what's in it for them to make a shift. Without clarity, people assume the worst in many cases, that it would be more work, more frustration, and all of those are unknowns. But as project professionals, we come in, a part of our job is to remove those barriers and show the individuals what is possible with the new technology. Ways that we can do that are, one, to facilitate acknowledging the concerns of the stakeholders, actively listening, and then being able to demonstrate how this transformation will improve their experience. Secondly, simplify the transformation, making it digestible by breaking the project down into clear, manageable phases. And then third, I would say training, and more training. Having live sessions, train the trainer programs, on-demand makeup sessions, whatever it takes to make the users feel supported and capable. By focusing on alignment, transparency, and support, we change the fear of the unknown into confidence for our teams. The good news, we are project managers, and we know, and we're experts in breaking down complex initiatives. A digital transformation in any industry is very similar to building a bridge from the past to the future. We are transitioning from a legacy system to a more efficient digital platform. We're prioritizing not just the right processes and the tools, but more importantly, sometimes the impact on our team. So I would say, just like any other project, we need to be careful in the planning, create a great execution, and then have the ability to roll with the punches, being agile in the implementation. Okay, so we talked about aligning on the vision and the goals. Once that is clearly done, engaging the team is the next step. That means communication and collaboration at all levels. When we communicate and everyone feels their voices have been heard, their contributions matter, naturally they take ownership, and that is no different in a transformation. Okay, so let's talk about how we can engage our teams. One powerful way of engaging teams is to start small. There is power in small changes. We don't have to do a massive overhaul at night. Um, Again, I mentioned that the last 10 years, we're talking about what a digital transformation is, that kind of retraining our minds and thinking it doesn't have to be, everyone doing all of a solution at night, overnight. Let's see. Small wins can range from some simple shifts like moving from handwritten notes to a digital note taker, or even AI-powered summarizing, or automating routine tasks and digitizing the paper processes. The key is to pilot, learn, and then scale thoughtfully through the organization. The digital transformation is a journey, not a destination. So small intentional changes create momentum and the capacity for bigger programs for bigger impact. I'm giving two examples of projects that I've worked on in this capacity. One company wanted to introduce Tableau for better data-driven decision making. So instead of a full-scale rollout through the organization, we started with a team of 8 using Tableau to send weekly status reports to the senior leadership team. Once the leadership saw the value, the adoption is expanded, and Tableau became the organization-wide tool with a rollout plan that was implemented over a 6-month period by business unit. Also, a law firm that switched from handwritten legal pads to the remarkable tablets. I don't know if you all are familiar with those. These are small changes, but it streamlined their entire workflow significantly without disrupting their existing processes. These are small changes that make big impact. And remember, the goal is to start where you are in an organization, find incremental improvements to build momentum for your eventual final destination. Ultimately, we want our digital transformations to be successful. And that's only going to work if the people see the value in the tool. So we must prioritize the engagement from day one. Here are a few ways that we can do that. Starting with the why, that is engaging stakeholders early to help build trust and understand their concerns. Secondly, explaining how that change benefits them, whether it's reducing time, saving time, reducing workload, or improving efficiency throughout the organization. And then finally, focusing on the adoption. The best technology is useless if no one chooses to use it. So our job is to equip our teams with the skills and the confidence needed to be successful. Okay, now we're getting into the fun part. We are aligned on the goal and we've engaged our team. So now the real work comes, which is the actual transformation. This is where the strategy turns into action and we focus on the impact. Successful transformation hinges on 3 things. That is tracking progress with data, adapting to the inevitable challenges because any project or implementation will have its fair share of challenges, and then creating value through process improvement. I have before you a slide, and we'll slow down just a bit here. These are some of the key tools that are shaping how we work today. Now, of course, this is not all of them. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of the ones that I've worked with in the last 10 years. We can't cover them all, but in the chat, if you would, do you recognize some? Do you work with some? And have I left off some? I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Some of these tools fall into key categories. First, the work management platforms, work management, project management platforms, which are ones that I've done the most work in for the last 10 years. Platforms like Rike, Asana, Monday.com, Smartsheets, and the list goes on. They leverage AI to track progress, allocate resources, and to keep projects on track. They provide real-time visibility and task and risk and milestones. We have business intelligence and data analytics tools like Tableau and Power BI. They are transforming data into strategic insights, enabling us to make faster, smarter decisions, not just about pretty dashboards, but really bringing business value. We have, of course, your cloud collaboration tools or platforms like Google Workspace, Microsoft Teams, Slack. These all keep our teams connected and our communication flowing very smoothly. Um, in construction and infrastructure, we have solutions like Oracle P6 and BIM 360. These are revolutionizing how project planning and execution occurs in the construction industry. It's the right tools or combination of tools that help with breaking down silos on projects, enhance your collaboration abilities, drive efficiency with fast decision making, and make that transformation powerful. But again, we're saying it's not only about this technology. We know these tools can be very costly. Um, so the key is selecting the right ones for your organization and ensuring that your teams are equipped to use them effectively. Okay, I'm going to look in the chat to see if we talked about any of the other tools. Oh, I see Miro boards. I'm familiar with that one, Mel. I see Gina just said Monday.com. Yep. Power BI. I see someone says they recognize most of them. Okay. They're awesome tools, but again, a tool is a tool. We have to identify first how our teams are going to use those. All right. Let's see. So, in our next slide, we spoke about the tools. Now, how do they actually work and what can they actually do? Here's some examples, again, in the industries that I've worked in primarily. In construction management, uh, building information modeling, so the BIM is transforming how we manage complex construction projects. By creating a central source of truth in one platform, the architects, the contractors, and the engineers are able to reduce costly errors that occurred on construction projects. They reduce rework and keep projects on schedule and on budget. In education, we have personalized learning experiences that are really becoming a reality now. We have AI-powered tutoring platforms, gamified learning experiences, and we're able to tailor instruction to individual student needs. This is increasing engagement now and improving learning outcomes. It also frees up the educators to focus on deeper learning and teacher interaction. In transportation, cities and transit agencies are using smart technology to enhance efficiency and the passenger experience. That's real-time traffic analytics, allowing for dynamic route adjustments, while on-demand bus fleets and optimized maintenance schedules improve reliability and wait times. The key takeaway here is that it's not just about the tool, remember, it's about using those tools strategically. When you combine the right technology with the strategy and have the right people together, the opportunities are boundless. And these examples, I think, prove it. Digital tools aren't just making work easy, they are making our lives much better. So many of you are on this or may be considering. Are you ready to begin your digital transformation journey? I hope so. Here's a simple approach to it. Start by one, defining your vision and setting clear, achievable goals. We talked about that. Then take a look at where you are now. Analyze your current processes, identify any bottlenecks or outdated tools. Determine where the opportunities for improvement are. Of course, we're going to go into engaging your teams by securing the leadership buy-in, making sure you're involving your stakeholders early, and building trust and momentum. And then plan. Develop a detailed plan that outlines your goals, objectives, and the specific steps required to achieve that. That's your roadmap. We introduce new technologies strategically and provide thorough training to make sure that the team can use that effectively, and then track your progress closely, being prepared to adapt as needed. One key point is always to celebrate your wins because we want to keep everyone on the team motivated. Now, that is a project done well. We have to always acknowledge that there are challenges that come with any implementation of a new tool. So we talked about the huge potential that we get from the transformation projects, but it also comes with its share of challenges. We're going to talk about those. I am curious to hear what you have experienced. Again, in the chat, uh, what type of barriers or challenges have come as you're trying to implement a new tool within your organization? One of the common questions or discussions that I'm a part of in this climate surrounding digital transformation um, is the misconceptions that come with a digital transformation. For example, security is always top of mind in implementing a new tool. Um, let's see, too much too fast and focus on what? Yes. One of the things that I would say comes top of mind has been security, and that's been in the last 10 years. Having security measures like encryption, discussing who has access to what information it's put into into a digital tool, and then the ability to do regular audits. So again, we're talking about how to um, address these challenges head on, having a plan for that and sharing this out with the stakeholders to mitigate those concerns. Another large one is cost. Cost is a big concern. This is a digital transformation, so most of the tools that we mentioned or the combination of them have a large investment. Sometimes organizations focus on the upfront investment without considering the long-term return. So talking about the return in time savings or the savings of resources and the revenue is a good way to address that concern. There are also technical considerations like cloud adoption, which can be tricky, especially in the public sector, depending on if the organization is private or public sector. Um, and then the use of AI or reliance on AI is one that I've come up with. I see someone else agreeing with ownership of the tool. Um, yes. So ownership was the next one that I was going to say. Ownership of the technology is another factor. And finally, the change management process. How do we go from the legacy system to the new one successfully? So in order to, again, address these challenges head on, it's important that we get buy-in, empower the teams, get buy-in early. I'm just looking through I see timelines being too aggressive. Ownership. Okay. I think we covered most of those. All right. Let's see. All right. So we're getting closer to the end, and then I guess we'll have a bit of time for some dialogue. As we close out, let's remember that most the most innovative technology is still just a tool. We want to emphasize the human element of the digital transformation because that's really what um, is the glue. The technology is fascinating, but the people are the drivers of change. As project managers, we understand the importance of setting clear goals, managing our teams effectively, and setting realistic expectations. And these fundamental project management principles are essential for any technology implementation and creating space for anything to happen within um, our organizations. I think we've covered a lot of ground. And the key takeaways that I have, I am excited about what project management is doing and how these transformation projects work and being a part of them. The key takeaway would be in starting a digital transformation, make sure that you're aligned on a shared vision, that you're engaging stakeholders throughout the process, and then that you are ready for a transformation. All right. You can scan here is a way to connect with me or on Facebook, I said Facebook, sorry, LinkedIn. I'm ready to open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Thank you very much for this very insightful presentation. really big deep dive into digital transformation, and I'm sure that for like a lot of other people listening to us now and being there, it really reminds me of quite a lot of experiences I've had being part of programs, basically putting in place this digital transformation in the organization when I've been working, and really being reminded of basically everything you can do, everything you can do wrong that can go wrong, but also the bits that say, yes, okay, I haven't done that too badly. So please, let's take questions. So there's already a few questions. So put them in the chat or raise your hand and you can come on stage. So first question, how to start again if you have lost your stakeholders' trust and interest?
So I can give examples of seeing that happen personally. And I would say again, it is to find the why and realign. So getting, the stakeholders in the room to discuss why they've lost trust. Perhaps their why for losing trust is that the solution doesn't address what their needs are. They haven't found how it's going to benefit them. It might, just kind of having that dialogue and allowing the organization to really share what it is so that you can get the project back on track or reinvigorated. It may be that you've chosen a tool that doesn't address everyone's needs. So just having those conversations openly.
Thank you. And we have another
Can I have a
question.
question?
Yes.
Hi, Olivia. Great presentation. I absolutely love the slides.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you were in a meeting recently and there were several attendees
Hmm.
attended with their AI note taking. Could
Yeah.
you say more about that? I don't think I've ever heard that. How am I joining a meeting and also have a note taker join the meeting?
So it was a very different experience for me as well. So just as we're in Zoom, you can send an AI note taker to a meeting and you not be present. And then the AI note taker will give you either the summary of the meeting or the recording or the transcript of the meeting. And so in times where in the past we've had to wait a week or 2 weeks to get all of the attendees that were needed, instead individuals are just sending an AI version of themselves into the meeting to take the notes.
That is incredible. What comes to my mind when you say that is security.
Yeah.
How are uh, the organizations that's holding the meeting allowing different people to just send an AI tool to enter into the meeting to capture meeting notes?
So we talked about that. That's one of the concerns. Again, this experience for me was almost out of this world because there were 8 attendees and supposedly, and only 2 people, and everyone else had their AI note reader in the call. I think this is a conversation, once again, that you're having within your organization. Is that something that you would allow? Because as the owner, for instance, of this Zoom meeting, you can request that the AI note taker leave, the call. So I think by organization and depending on what that call is, we would have to make decisions there. But it's definitely a concern.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now we've got another question. We've got quite a few questions in the chat, so that's great. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. And we've got one, I'm sure you probably have come across that. Resistance to digital transformation from staff who are obviously scared of losing their job because of the transformation.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we talked earlier about training opportunities. as an educator myself, understanding that, implementing pressure related to a new tool is not fun. So having multiple ways for individuals to learn. Some people would like to go off and do a training on demand or at their own pace. Or as we're doing the implementation of the tool, naturally new questions will come up later, giving opportunities after the cutoff date for individuals to come back and re-question. Just having multiple modes to address the different learner modalities would be one, but listing that as a risk and addressing those individuals, you know, uh, their needs. Will they lose their job? I mean, that's a great question to address up front, and comforting them in knowing that perhaps they will not, what the timelines look for, so that it's more a team effort and they feel more comfortable taking the time that they need to learn the new tool.
Thank you very much. Yes, Lorena, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, just want to say fantastic presentation, by the way. But I just had a question around how project managers can potentially upskill to drive digital transformation. Is there any sort of accreditations or certificates that we can go for, or how would you navigate that?
Great question. Well, is there an actual certification? That I'm not sure that there is, but upskilling on the tools for sure. There are opportunities in each of those tools to get certification for most of them, to become a licensed, you know, person in each of those tools. But I don't know that there's a certification. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I'm not sure that there is one specifically for digital transformation.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know it's quite new as well, but so I was just asking just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
IPM, do you want to set up some
That would-
training specifically for digital transformation project managers, maybe? Okay, so next question, which I think is quite interesting, is how would you define the success of a digital transformation project?
I'm going to go back to the saying, the digital transformation is a journey, right? Not a destination. So again, in these conversations, really clearly defining the milestones. What are we doing? What is the goal of the transformation? Is it to get everyone to communicate more easily? With the, if we come up with performance indicators based on what we've set the goals on for that transformation, that's how we could track whether or not it's successful or not.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Then about a completely different topic, but actually a topic I've seen even in smaller projects, actually. It's how do you balance, or how can you manage actually the difference in needs between the users who want to do certain things with the system and the technology people who need to implement the system, to maintain it. And so basically this kind of dual expectations about the system. So how do you balance that as a project manager in digital transformation?
An example or a thought just came to mind, but that's always this balancing act, right? And again, because this is a people-centered process, really coming up with a great roadmap that outlines, these are the upgrades that we're going to do now versus, in phase 2, phase 3, and 4, or whatever that implementation plan looks like, is the balancing act. You're correct. The users want one thing, and perhaps that thing takes months to develop, right? Really having a true conversation around what needs to be done for the organization and what that rollout plan looks like and when we can get to the additional features.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And I know you already touched about that quite a bit, which is about safety, but there's another question about how do you protect the company with privacy, security, data protection, and all these related topics?
So most of the tools have information surrounding how they protect the data. And then as an organization, I'm sure you have your own data and security policy. What I've seen done before successfully is that a part of the implementation plan is to have just a rollout that says, we manage the user license in X way, but just really coming up with a very clear plan that aligns with which tools you're using, how those tools integrate with one another. Also, who is the administrator for the tool, and just having some very clear conversations about ownership and who's going to manage and what data goes into the tool.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very insightful. There's a next question. It's about stakeholder and stakeholder capacity. And obviously, when you do digital transformation, there's a lot of people who are affected in the organization, most of them. And so you've got that very big number of stakeholders that you need to interact with, or at least the project needs to interact with. But many of them, they just don't have time, or they think they're not interested, or they think whatever, they're not going to be impacted by it. So what would be, have you ever struggled with that? And what would be your advice to cope with all these stakeholders in digital transformation projects?
Yeah, the communication plan. And I know that sounds like it's very simplistic. It's not, but if someone's too busy, having some digital way that they could submit questions if they don't want to attend a meeting or speak in a meeting, just being very, very creative in the ways that individuals can ask their questions. And maybe they're not concerned about it, but in your communication plan, you're saying, hey, this is going to impact the organization in these different ways. Said person who's not interested in hearing that eventually is going to impact them, giving them the opportunity on the front end throughout the project, and also as the tool is being implemented to ask questions, because eventually they'll come around if it impacts their work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gosh, we've got quite a lot of questions. That's really great. That's really great. People obviously are very interested in the subject. And so that question is about actually one of the tools that you showed when you had these slides with the logos of various tools, and it's about the value of Power BI. Have you seen the value that Power BI can bring?
Absolutely. Power BI and Tableau both have been tools that I've worked with on many projects. So, I mean, just with large data sets in transportation, has been my use of it, and also in education, but absolutely very, very powerful tools. Crunching numbers in a way that prior to the use of those would take months for teams to work with is just at your fingertips.
Okay. So basically, a lot of value when you have big data, when you need to work with big data in your digital transformation project. Thank you. Then the next question is, when you begin, so for companies that still aren't sure how to leverage digital transformation, where should they start?
Again, small steps, right? Small steps, and just wanting to say for each company, a transformation looks very different. So identifying where your company is, and just what is that goal that you're seeking? Small steps would be the way to begin. And
Okay,
actually
okay.
defining within that organization what the transformation looks like from that for them, where they want to start and where they want to end eventually.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the next question is about the importance and necessity of training. Is it really that important and is it necessary?
Um, we're speaking to the training for the tool. So the new tool that we're implementing. I would say it is necessary, but it's really the user. We're talking about user adoption. If we're asking individuals to take on a new tool that they perhaps don't feel a need for or want or even understand why we're implementing it, allowing the opportunity for people to get familiar with the use of it is pretty important to get buy-in.
Mm, mm. Yeah, no, I know that in my case, in some projects that I did, I had regular what I call drop-in sessions for basically users. It's like was open door and they could come and see, it was in a lecture hall actually, and they could come and see the system and play with it because it was not live, it was still in progress being built, but they could see what it looked like, what it could do, and I think it helped a lot with adoption
It does.
later on.
You just made a really great point. So one example of a tool that was implemented, individuals felt like they could not go in and because they didn't know if it was a live environment and if they would play with it in a sense, if they would break something. So having opportunities, just as you mentioned, to say this is a sandbox for you to learn how to manipulate the the platform or ask those questions and really making it a safe space was a great place for individuals to really buy into the tool and the use, and then become innovative because once they felt more familiar in said tool, then they actually took it and ran with it. A lot of the cloud platforms have so much functionality that once you start a little bit, um, you're able to do so much more with it.
Thank you, thank you. And gosh, now we're going in other aspects of digital transformation. It's according to you, what skills are crucial for employees to thrive in a digitally transformed workplace?
What skills are crucial? The ability to adapt, um, you
Mhm.
know, um, just questioning and being transparent about where they are in the process. Again, there's so many different technologies and so many different uses and applications, and it goes from organization to organization. So being flexible and willing to learn and willing to discuss what you've experienced from one tool to another would be really critical for you to thrive.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think it's very important that people are ready to learn basically something new that at the end will help them. Yeah, yeah, that's right. The next question is, could you share a case study where actually the digital transformation didn't go quite as planned, and what were the key takeaways?
Oh, yes, I can. Yeah, so I don't know if you all have heard the term, flying the plane while we build it, or the ship while we sail it.
It's a common terminology.
Right. So if we talk about a case study, and there have been a few that I have been a part of or consulted on where that was the plan. It was to implement a tool and fly the plane, figure out how it was going to be used and rolled out to the team before doing actually these things that we talked about, coming up with a common goal. Of course, in the organization, someone mentioned it earlier, the technology team wants one thing out of the tool, the project management team wants another thing. Everyone has I shouldn't say conflicting interests, but different interests in how a tool will be used. If you do not, the key takeaway, come up with how the tool will be used and sync on that as an organization, as a group, as a team first, it goes left, right. There is no success, and then you have to rework and rework. It's setting the expectations on what the tool is. I've also found that there is no magic tool. There's no magic bullet. Again, there are 1,000 work management or project management tools that you can purchase. And again, if you're talking about an organization of a large size, and the project management team, there's varied levels of understanding on how to use them. If we're not syncing on, we are implementing this tool to address this set of goals or to enhance our process by doing blah, blah, blah. Everyone has different expectations, and they're not going to be happy with the solution.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. And I think we all have, as project managers, experience of projects not going quite as planned. And yeah, thank you for sharing that, Benny. Thank you. That's very nice. Then yeah, that's an interesting question. Industries like mining or energy are among, so I'm just reading the comments, are among the hardest to convince to adopt digital transformation practices. So how can a project developer or strategy manager can convince these types of companies to take such measures? And generally, how do you convince managers who have lower digital maturity to embark into a digital transformation journey?
Showing the value, the end goal, or starting with digestible projects to get the momentum built for taking on the capacity for a larger project. So I would say it is showing what specifically you're going to address with a transformation, and not wanting to do a whole conversion. If you already are experiencing resistance in a way, something very small to get people on board, and then to develop incrementally from there.
Thank you. So again, it's the idea of starting small, basically, and yeah, to let them see what it brings. And yeah, thank you very much. And so far, the last question in the chat, you still have a few minutes if you have a question to put it in the chat or to raise your hand, okay? So the last question in the chat, you mentioned gamification as a way to get users or teams to engage and adopt digital transformation. So so it's kind of several questions. How successful do you find this approach? Are there any areas of the business that you have found that it's easier to adopt changes through gamification or otherwise? And so how do you address the question why or what's in it for me?
Okay, great. Let's break that down into digestible pieces as a question.
Yeah.
So the gamification I have seen really take off with education. of course. So, individualized learning plans using gamification has been great. I've also seen it with training programs for like a cloud platform that individuals needed to get certified in. Again, this was an individualized learning plan where users could do a gamified approach to the certification class versus sitting in a one-to-one session of sorts to get to their certification goal. So usually the gamification has been in, training settings to keep people engaged. That's where I've seen it most successful. Let's see, the next question was, have I found that?
Yeah, so areas of the business where you find that easier to adopt change than others.
I won't say that it's been by business area. It's really been in finding what works for the organization. So when you're able to have a conversation and address, and I think this kind of goes into the next part of this question, was address the what's in it for me. So if I'm presenting a new solution to you, addressing with the stakeholders, this is what it's going to give to you. It's going to, take off additional time that you're spending with reporting. It's going to help you to do upper level management. It's going to give you insight into the data throughout the organization. Once you get their buy-in and they can see where the benefits are for them, or even if there are barriers that they have with the presented solution, being able to talk through those, that's when I've seen groups are most ready for the adoption of change. And it hasn't typically been by business unit, though. It's just who feels more invested in the solution that's being adopted.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I think that's why something I've seen and that some of the digital transformation programs I've been on, I've tried to set up is to have what they had called kind of champions in various business areas. So basically people who are there to kind of represent the project and talk positively in their own department and areas about the project. So it's more about individuals rather than departments or business areas as a whole. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the last question in the chat. So thank you very much, Olivia. Thank you very much, everyone, for all your questions. That's really the most engagement we've had so far. That's really, really good. Thank you very much. So it's 2 minutes to, so thank you again, Olivia, for having been our guest and for this great presentation. And so I'll let everyone go. And so we'll receive an email with the recording and the slides and everything. And if you want more resources about IPM and get to know a little bit more and be part of a community of project manager, just to let you know, at the end, IPM has just launched its membership platform, and please have a look at it and do join. And it's a great community where you can discuss with other project managers and where you can find resources. So thank you everyone again for having joined. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.